Okay, I think we're live. Hey, Thomas B. Riley, music students. This is Mr. V, and you are going to learn in this quick tutorial, hopefully it's a quick tutorial, how to work the program called NoteFlight. Okay, so I'm just going to start from the very beginning as though I don't have an account, so you can learn how to get an account, how to input notes, how to input your composition already, and then there's a part 2 to that assignment as well. Okay, so I'm going to go to Safari. We're going to see if it works in Safari. If it doesn't, then we'll have to figure out something else. So there is noteflight.com. You can see it up here. All right, noteflight.com. All of the instructions will also be down in the information down below. Okay, so I'll put everything down there that you'll need as well. Sign up for free. Let's try this. Okay, I'm going to create an account. All right, so I'm going to create an account with, well, I guess I'll create it with something that's not Google, because if you have a Google, you'll go here, and I'll do that in a second as well. But let's just assume you've got a different email address. So I've got one called blakereedband.com. So that's a band that I play in, and that's my email in that. I'm not a robot, even though sometimes I talk like a robot. Okay, traffic lights. Well, let's see. I don't know. Do you think that's a traffic light in there? We'll see. Verify. Okay, I'm not a robot. That's great news. So I'm going to create this account. Yes, I consent to this. So make sure your parents are aware of what you're doing here. This is a safe site and everything is cool, but just make sure you know that that your parents know that you're using your email to sign into this. Okay, so create an account. Check your email to activate your account. All right, I'm going to go to my email. NoteFlight, welcome to NoteFlight. Activate account. It's going to open me up over here. Flight username. I'm going to go Jason. Maybe I'll go, I was born in 74, so I'm going to go 7474. Create a password. I'll create a password. Okay, so make sure you create a password and all of that. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, I guess I'm getting into NoteFlight. I'll say that I'm a student. I'm writing and arranging music, mostly. That's what you're going to be doing here, but there's all kinds of options with this great online program. I'm going to put bass guitar as my main instrument. I'm going to rate myself as a composer, intermediate as a performer. All right, so that's pretty much how to make an account. And you can go back and check that out again. I'm also going to make chapters in this. Okay, I'm going to save the password. I always save the password on my computer. Let's go. So there I am. Okay. Create a new score. Yes. Okay, it's taking me on a little tour here. Select create to enter a NoteFlight editor and start composing. Next. So you'll go through this yourself. There's a community. So once you're in this, it's kind of like, I don't know, your D2L maybe a little bit, or Facebook or whatever. So you can actually see some of your other classmates' work, and you can comment on stuff, and you can share. If you want to buy music, this is a great place. I think if once you become a professional in a few months, you can also upload your scores. So what's a score? Well, a music score is a composition, and it's got more than one part. Usually it's when you see all of the parts at once. It's called a music score. Next, update account and profile. Okay, well, I might want to put a avatar there or something interesting. Next, help center. Yeah, help centers are key to getting better at using a program. And sometimes it's boring to read, but you should do it anyways, unless there's a video on YouTube like this one. All right, so there's a bunch of stuff going on there, but what I'm going to do right away, okay, I've already created my account. There's a little red dot here. Usually that means there's some sort of notification. I'm not going to go through all of this, okay, but I'm in English. You can choose a different language if you're more comfortable with that. Clicking on that again, so it looks like that toggle going back and forth between your account. Now what's this big? This is a whole note. Remember how many counts? Whole note, 4 beats. So there are a bunch of options there. There's some help sections, there's groups, there's my scores, which I think once I create a score, what's a score again? More than one part. It's all of the music that we're going to be working on. It's called a score. Community Marketplace. Looks like all of that stuff is in here as well. All right, Help Center, purchasing. There's some premium plans for NoteFlight that I don't think we need right now, but it might be something you'll use in the future. Who knows? All right, I'm going to create a score. Let's see what happens when I click on that button. Create a new score. Start from a blank score sheet, likely. That's probably what I'm going to do. Or start by importing XML or MIDI files. Now, once you've become more comfortable with GarageBand or some of the DAWs that we worked with, remember DAW, D-A-W, Digital Audio Workstation, you can export an XML file or a MIDI file out of those and bring it in here. But for now, we're just going to start from a blank score sheet. Press OK. There we go. Look at that. It's already on a grand staff. All right, now there's some help files here. Click a measure to start entering notes. You may also type note names on a computer keyboard or use a MIDI device. For those of you who have a little MIDI keyboard, piano keyboard at home, you can probably go to the help files. Remember where was that? Okay, over here. And find out how to hook your keyboard into this. Okay, enter notes. Great. What's next? Change note duration. Well, that's great. We can work with pitched notes. While the pitch is highlighted, select the desired duration. You can also, on your keyboard, your QWERTY keyboard, use left square bracket and right square bracket, and that's next to the letter P. P is in potato. You've got a square bracket, and it looks like it'll change the duration, the length of the note. So what does that mean? Going from a whole note to a half note to a quarter note to a eighth note, and so on. You can change it that way. That's just a quick way to do it. We'll see what that looks like in a little bit. Next, editor menu. Open the editor menu to select actions. Click a menu item to pin a palette to the top panel. I'm assuming that this is the palette. What does palette mean? Look that up. It's for painters who have different colors on their palette, and they hold it in their hand, in their non-dominant hand, and then their dominant hand selects the paint from this palette. Well, you are now a painter of musical notes, and this here is your palette of little icons and things that you need. There's key changes or signature. There's your treble clef, your bass clef. There's a sharp, a flat, there's a natural sign. So all these things, we got it. So it looks like if you click here, all right, you can add things to it. We'll click next because we want to keep going on this. Add instruments, that's cool. Use the instruments panel to edit, add, and reorganize your parts. That's going to come in super handy for us. When we start making sounds and music down in here, we're going to want to see what it sounds like on different instruments. Cool. Help menu and user guide. This is your best friend on any application, anything that you work with. There's always help files. Sometimes, like I say, they're boring to get through, but they're filled with the answers, just like your math textbook or your science textbook. That's where everything is. Next, score details. So to share or sell your score. Wow, looks like we can be, once we're professionals, we can sell our music, okay? If you've been through this already, remember down below are the chapters. In the red line of the YouTube, you'll see that everything is chunked out into segments or chapters. And then down in the information, you can also see numbers on this movie of skipping ahead. So score details, cool, that sounds cool. Open navigator menu, well, we've done that already. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. Great, we got it. Here we go. All right, I'm just going to, for right now, I'm going to click on this first bar. See what happens. All right. Oh, okay, so I just randomly clicked something, and it looks like, all right. Look at this, I'm just dragging this stuff around. So obviously this thing has already selected a piano for me, okay? Now, for your second assignment, the second part of this tutorial, we're going to get into pitches, actual notes, okay? But for now, just like your rhythm assignment, we're only going to use the low palmas and the high palmas or something similar. So we're going to change this. Let's see if we can figure out, now we know that this is a piano. Let's change this. Remember, it was up here in parts, okay? So I'm going to click on parts and see what happens. Okay, so there is piano. That's what's happening right now. So I'm going to add a part. Let's see. Okay, type instrument name. Well, I want to maybe go down here and see if it's there. All right, let's not worry about that stuff right now. Unpitched percussion. Well, that sounds like something that'll make sounds without us having to worry about notes right now. Okay, so there is drums standard. I'm going to click on that. Maybe it's just a bass drum or a snare part that we need. So, okay, it added a line called drums. I'm going to add another one because remember, this is a conversation between an upper part and a lower part. There's another drum. I'm going to add that, okay? Now, because the piano is up here, I want to get rid of the piano. All I want are these two different drum parts together. So I'm going to go over here. Do you see on the right-hand side where it says parts and it says piano? I'm going to delete this piano part. Let's see what happens if I hit this trash can. Bam! Gone. Okay, I'm going to go to this X, get rid of the parts right now. I don't want that interfering with anything else. So it looks like I've got drums and drums. Now, just to experiment with some sounds, let's go in here. All right. Wow, all kinds of stuff. That sounds like a kick drum, a bass drum. That also sounds a bit like a bass drum. Let's go up there. Toms. Oh, snare. Interesting. Now, I don't hear any toms. I don't hear any low palma or high palma, but I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this line. This whole line here is going to be for my lower score, my palmas, okay? Now, up here, let's see what we should use for this. Let's hit a note. If it's not working for you, keep experimenting, okay? Oops. Oh, there. Okay, up there. So I'm going to use this up here for the upper part and this down here for the lower part. Now, it has a note here that I don't want. Let's figure out how to get rid of that. I'm going to go up here to my palette. And it looks like, okay, delete. And it also says you can use the delete key on your keyboard. And I'm going to assume because it's highlighted red, I'm going to use the delete button. There it is. So, yes. Whoops. Let's see. No, it's not that line, is it? No. I'm just randomly hitting some buttons here. Oh, it's there. It's on the C line if we were on the treble clef. So I'm going to go over here and click this. I'm going to go up here to delete. I don't want that note. I don't want that note either. I've got a snare drum hit here. There it is. And I've got a kick drum sound down there. So these are the lines that I have chosen for my lower palma, my higher palma. So I'm going to actually change the name of this. I don't want to see drums. I'm going to go HP for high palmas. Down here I'm going to go, just clicking on it, I select the text. I go capital L, capital P, low palma, high palma, low palma. Now, you need to get out your assignment, okay? Well, the thing that you've been working on with your partner. If one has it and the other one doesn't, well, you have to figure out how to send it to each other. Do you take a scan? Do you take a photo? Do you send it to each other? Because you're both going to have to input this stuff, okay? So I'm going to call my composition high and low palma conversation. No, conversation. I'll keep it there for now. It's a bit of a cheesy title, but composer, well, that's me. And it's just me on this one, okay? Jason Valo, high and low palma conversation. Here, in fact, I'll make this easy. Mr. V. Okay, there it is. Lyricist. Well, I don't have lyricist yet, so I'm going to just see if I can... Oh, no, I don't know how to get rid of that. That's okay. So there I am. There's my first bar. Now, with your assignment, you have to start inputting the notes that you had from your assignment into this. This is the part one of this assignment, okay? We're going to get into pitches later, and the pitches are all of the notes within the C scale. Some of you know this, some of you it'll maybe be new, some will need to refresh a little bit, okay? Now notice up here, I just noticed that there's a tempo marking, okay? So a lot of you chose between 110 and 116 on your part. I'm going to choose 110. Do you see that up here in the top right? That's what I'm going to choose. So high palma, low palma, there's my first note, there's my title. Everything seems to be going okay. Before I do anything, I've established this. I'm going to save this. Do you see this button up here? Save. Okay, it is now saved. Now, I'm going to bring up my composition, and I had this all ready to go. So there is the composition. Now this is grade 6 and grade 7. All right, and I'm going to start with this one. I'll probably put in the grade 8 and 9 one as well. But even if you're watching this grade 8s and 9s, it's the same thing. Okay, you're going to put in all of these notes from your composition. The only thing different between the 6s and 7s and the 8s and 9s is the grade 6s and 7s are not using the dotted quarter. And you are using the dotted quarter. Remember on your part down here, there were dotted quarters. Okay, so maybe I'll just use the grade 6 and 7 one because it's a little bit easier to input as well. Okay, there it is. Okay, so I've got that on this screen, and if I do this quickly, so I'm in Safari right now. Remember, this can be on Chrome. This can be on what's the other one? Opera, Explorer. Do people still use Explorer? I don't know. But anyways, there it is there, and there's my assignment. So, high palma, low palma, great. I'm not going to use treble clef and bass clef because remember, I changed the parts. Up here in parts, I chose 2 drum lines so that I can just have some rhythm going. Now, I've selected just randomly, just to kind of get my sounds going, I selected on the C line here, and if this is bass clef, the A line down here. And I selected a quarter note. Well, it looks like the first part of my my example. Wow, I didn't realize I spelt example wrong. Look at that, example. Interesting. The second beat is also a quarter note. So I'm going to go back to my composition here, and I'm going to select a quarter note there, and I'm going to click on this rest down here. Do you see now I can choose the note? I'm going to put the kick drum right there. Now there's 2 rests. I don't have 2 rests there. I've got 2 half notes. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to select this rest, okay, where that note's going to go, and I'm going to do that. Oh, it already made it into a half note because this was a half rest. But let's say it didn't. It looks like up here, do you see this duration? Oops, duration just disappeared. If you do that by accident, you go back over here. Remember, this was the palette menu. And right now there's no check mark for duration. But as soon as I do, and there's a check mark next to that, I'm going to get rid of that. It brings it back in my palette. So never fear. If something disappears in your palette, then it's down over here on this button right here, okay? Check marks. How cool is that? So that's a half note, but if it wasn't, if it loaded up as a quarter note, okay, then I would go up here. I would make sure it's selected, okay? It's red. Make sure that it's selected. Go up here and select half note. And it even says there, look at this, when I put my mouse over top of these things, it tells me the note. How helpful is that? Very helpful. Going to go to this next one. I'm going to put a note here because, yes, on my part here, do you see that? There's quarter, quarter, half note, quarter, quarter, half note. That's what I've got. Now, this is what's cool. Do you see this play button here? I'm going to play this first bar. Great. Okay, so it's playing. It just played that first measure. Let's hear it again. Yeah, that sounds right. All right, it'll stop because there's no more notes in this second bar. If you, let's see what this is. What does this do? I'm going to work this out with you. Okay, it selects the whole thing. Okay, now it's looping that bar. Do you see this? It looks like this means it's looping. I'm going to press stop. Okay, I press stop with the space bar. But you can see also up here if I press stop. Okay, when I press play up here, we're doing this together. Let's get this to not highlight. Play. So when you play, it comes up with this menu up there, okay, which is kind of cool. Transcribe, not sure what that is. Record, we won't worry about those quite yet. Let's move on to our second measure, shall we? Half note in the first measure of the top part, the high palma. So I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to just hit something. Okay, I put it in the wrong spot. I click it, I drag it up to that line, okay? It's a quarter note, but I need a half note. So there it is, a quarter note. I go up to my palette and I choose half note. The next note is a quarter note. I'm just going to hit here. Okay, no, it's not a half note. It's a quarter note. I need a half note there and a quarter note here. So I go up to here and I change it there. Now, what else is there? Another quarter note. I'm going to hit over here, and there's my quarter note. So that looks about right for the first two measures. It's not on the same line. Remember, the reason why it's not on this line is because I want this sound. Okay, I want that sound. Let's see in the bottom. All right, I changed the rhythm up a little bit. I've got a quarter note here. So I'm going to just click on this measure. I'm going to click down there. There's my quarter note. Great. Now I've got a half note. I'm going to click there. No, it's not a quarter note. It's a half note. I'm going to change the duration. Okay, I'm going to use my keyboard right next to the letter P. P as in potato. I'm going to use my bracket. I'm going to hit the left bracket. Oh, it went the wrong way. That's an eighth note. I don't want an eighth note. So I'm going to hit the right bracket, square bracket. Took it back to a quarter note. I'm going to hit it again, the right bracket. There's my half note. That's kind of cool. So all of these palette things are also available on that square bracket. I need another, what do I need here? Quarter note from here. All right. Bam. There it is. Let me listen to this. 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and cool. Well, that's what that would have sounded like if I was doing palmas. In the other video that I did of making this assignment, which will be down below in the comment section, I'll also have a link to that other video. Okay, so those are the first two measures. I'm going to keep going here. This is going to help some, but if you want to go to the next chapter in this video, go down to the red bar line in YouTube and go to the next chapter. This might take a little while, but I think for some this might be beneficial, okay? Because I've got a rest here. On my third one, I've got a rest. So I'm going to just put a note there and then change it to a rest. So here I am here. Okay, something weird is going on. It's good to know this. I can't do anything. Why? It looks like it's in play mode. So if I go up here, I realize, oh yeah, my palette's gone. So I'm going to press stop. Okay, my palette came back. Good. So I'm going to this bar now. Now, I don't want that to be a note. I want that to be a rest. So let's go up here and see what's going on. There's duration. Okay. There's rhythm. Let's see. How do I turn that into a rest? Man, I don't even know how to change this into a rest. I don't know what I just did. I just hit a button. Okay, something weird happened. I'm going to hit. Oh, I see. There's other options that you can. So this arrow here will expand other options. So in duration, there were some other options. I'm going to take this back. I'm going to take this back. All right, well, I did something a little bit weird there. I'm going to just have to figure, oh, there we go. So that button there. Okay, so these little arrows here, they expand other options that might be in there. So let me see now. Let me see if I can find a way to turning that into a rest. Turning a note into a rest. I've probably paused it by now. Oh, well, so when I selected this rest, it came up here. These durations turned into rests. So how do I turn this note into a rest? Okay. If I click on that again, no. Let's see if I erase, if I delete it. Oh, okay. So there, it happened. If I delete the note, so it's selected because it's red, you can see that. If I hit the delete button, it turns that note into a rest, okay? So that's how you make a rest. So on bar 3 here, I've got a rest. So there's the rest. How did I do it? Deleting the note. Going to go to the next one. No, I don't want a quarter note. I want 2 eighth notes. So I'm going to turn that into an eighth note. Okay, great. Now it put an eighth rest next to it, but I want another eighth note. So there, it just automatically beamed them as well. Did you notice that? So I'm going to erase that one just to show you there's the eighth rest and an eighth note with a flag. Now if I hit the note there, it beams them automatically, and that's exactly what I want, okay? Remember, I'm not on this line, I'm on this line. So we're just translating whatever is on this line up to the top line, or the second from the top space. Half note. Let's go here. No, I don't want an eighth note. That looks terrible. Man, that just broke everything up. So I'm going to turn that into a half note up here. And it should just, yeah, great. So it just got rid of all of those rests. The great thing about this software and this assignment is that you are not going to be able to put in too many notes in the bar, nor are you going to be short beats in the bar, because this is telling us, okay, you are in 4/4 time. And it looks like and I'm glad I mentioned that. It looks like we're in 4/4 time just by default, which is good. I'm not even sure where we would change our, oh, there it is, time signature, change time signature. That's where it would be. So if we were doing something in 3/4, we'd change it here. But let's get out of this, okay? All right, bar 3. Takes a little while, but it's good. This is good practice for us. Down here, I need 2/8 and 2/4 notes. So I'm just going to start hitting notes. Nope, I need that to be an eighth note. 2/8. There they are. It beams it automatically. And now 2/4 notes. Bam. Oops. No, I need a quarter. I'm going to use my right bracket. Yes. Cool. So when you get really good at this, it looks like you can get this going faster. There, that's that line. Remember we were talking about alignment. This thing aligns things absolutely perfectly by itself. So I'm going to go back and press play. I'm going to press play up here now and see what happens. Okay. It only took me to that bar. So if I select on this measure, yeah, it looks like if you select on the measure, it'll go back to the start. So I'm going to press play here. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and rest. Cool. Well, that's coming along. Now I need a quarter note here. Just starting to click. There's the quarter note. Need a rest. There's a rest there already, so I'm going to keep going. 2/8. Whoops, I'm on the wrong line. I'm just going to click and drag that up. There it is. Okay. Rest, good. Over here, that's a rest. I need 2/8 notes. No, not a half note. Okay, let's go up here. 8, 8, 8, and a quarter. Whoops. Nope. Right up here, quarter note. There it is. So that measure looks exactly like that measure. Okay, down below, I've got a rest. So I'm going to just click here, see what happens. No, I don't need a note. I need a rest. What do? We delete. There it is. There's my quarter rest. The next one is a quarter note. I'm going to go down here. I want this thing to be that kick drum sound. And then another quarter note, and then 2/8 notes. Not a quarter. I need an eighth note. And I need another one. Whoops! I put that on the wrong one. Wow, there's a weird drum solo. Okay. Cool. Let's hear what that sounds like. No, not from there. Beginning. Oh, it looks like there. There's a button that goes back to the beginning. So if I go there and hit beginning, there it is. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3. 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And great. Cool. That's 4 measures. I'm going to go into the 5th measure because it looks like this song ends right away. So I got to make sure that we get through this 5th measure to see what happens. And it's a little bit off because now we're 5 measures on that and we've only got 4 here. So the next one is actually this, half note. So let's go up here. Nope, half note. Bang, there it is. Now I've got 4 notes beamed. 4/8 notes, let's see. Okay, no, wow, it shifted. So it's actually adding an extra measure, no problem, or automatically. So now I've got to make sure I know where I am. Okay, this is the 5th measure still. 5th measure there. I still need my 8th notes. It put a half note there. Let's turn that into an 8th note. Great. What happens if I hit 8th note again? No. Another 8th note. Another 8th note. And another 8th note. It's not beaming these as 4. It's only beaming these as 2 and 2. That, I don't think we can get around that, and I don't think we have time to really worry too much about that. So when you have a cluster of 4/8 notes, I'm sure Mr. Parker and I will, obviously we know that you can't make it into 4 beamed notes, so we'll just go with this, okay? But that looks right. Bottom line, 4/8 notes and a quarter note. 4 eighth notes, not a quarter note. Eighth, eighth. This gets kind of quick after a while. And then a quarter note. Nope, not an eighth note. Back up to here, duration, remember, quarter note. There it is, and a rest. Great. I'm not going to listen to it now. I'm going to keep going here, okay? Nope, eighth note. 2 eighths. And you don't have to switch between screens like I'm doing. I'm doing this so you can see how to do it. But you're going from your piece of paper or your file or whatever you're looking at. 2 quarters now, after that. Okay? Quarter. Nope, not a half note. Quarter. Quarter. Is that right? 2 eighths, rest, quarter, quarter. Yes. Down below. Quarter, 2 eighths, quarter. Quarter. Yeah. 2 eighths. And a quarter, not an eighth, that's a quarter. And then what do I have? Oh, look at this. I've got an eighth note rest. So I don't know what to do here. Let's see. I'm going to just randomly put something. No, I don't want that. I'm going to hit the delete button. Where was that? Bam. Now, okay, so it has selected that. I had to actually make a note to delete it so that it would select that note or that rest or that beat of the bar. Now I want that to be an eighth note. So there's my eighth note rest. And now I'll put a note here. There it is. Okay. Dum, 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 dum. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Great. Next bar. Rest. Okay, I have skipped ahead. We had ended there on bar 6. And here is the assignment here. There is bar 6 right there. So I went ahead and completed the rest of this assignment, okay? I just went through bar by bar, just as you will do on your assignment, and I inputted the top high palma and the bottom low palma all the way to the end, okay? So when you get to the end, here, and I'll just, I'm going to redo the last measure just so that you see what happens here. I'm going to actually do this. Okay, so you remember this. This little strip here with some options, and this whole bar is now highlighted. If I kind of just click here and I click up in this bar or this strip here, if I do this, that erases a measure. But if I need to input more, okay, I add this little plus sign, and I'm going to add the last measure. Okay, so here is the last measure. Okay, quarter rest. So you remember, no, I don't want that. I hit delete up here. That makes that a quarter rest. Then I want a half note. I'm going to click here. No, I don't want a quarter note. I want a half note. And then the last beat is a quarter note. So there it is. That's the last measure. I'm going to do the second line now. So I'll just kind of make a note. Nope. I want a rest. I want a quarter note here. Down here. On bass. There's that. And then I want a half note. But I want it to be like that. Okay, so that's my end. But now there's this extra bar, because every time you do a bar, it adds another one. I'm going to click on this here gray patch, this strip of gray. And then I'm going to hit this minus button. Okay, it's going to get rid of that extra empty bar and put a final double bar line here to let me know that it's finished. I'm going to play it from top to bottom. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1. Three. Bang, there it is. Okay, so that is how to input your composition, top row, top and bottom row, all the way from the start to the finish, how to get all of the rhythms, how to choose. Remember, we did into parts here. We chose our parts. And we got everything nice and neat into there, okay? On the next video, we're going to learn how to make a copy of this, and the next part of your assignment is going to be making these rhythms into notes. Okay, so let's watch the next video. Good luck with this one. Okay, Thomas B. Riley, Mr. V here again. This is the second tutorial. This is now making all of these fun rhythms from our assignment into musical notes. So we stopped here. Here is your complete piece, and hopefully yours looks something like this with two parts, an upper part and a lower part. Okay, high palmas, low palmas, and you got through the whole thing. It's been saved. You've hit this button. Now what we want to do is we want to see on this line here it says score, and if you can't see that, you have to hit this 3 lines here and make sure that score is in fact selected, because what we have to do then, this is a little bit tricky, but I know you can do it. There's a little arrow here. We have to hit that arrow, okay, and it exposes some more options here. You'll see here it says save a copy. So I'm going to hit save a copy, and all of a sudden it does this, whoops, there, copy of high and low palma conversation, okay? So just to make sure I've got my scores here, I'm going to go, I hit that note there, right? It shows this side panel. I'm going to go to my scores, and there you see high and low palma conversation. That's what I had made before. And then it says here copy of high and low palma conversation. Now this is what it'll eventually be, and I'll skip to that in a little bit. But right now, we're going to go to this copy of high and low conversation. Now you might want to rename this, okay? So I'm going to rename this high and low palma conversation, and I'm going to put pitches, okay? Something like that. Something so that Mr. Parker knows, you know, your first one is a rhythm one, and your second one has pitches, okay? So I'm going to make sure that now I save that. So that's saved. Now this is interesting because we're going to actually change this. We don't want drums to be playing these parts because drums won't really give us much of a pitch. Okay, so I'm going to go up to parts and I'm going to change these. I'm going to hit this button here, this little pencil, which means edit, and I'm going to go to plucked strings. For myself, I'm choosing the upper part to be classical guitar, but you can choose something. There's all kinds of things here. Maybe you're a flute player or a clarinet player. You can choose anything that has a pitch, okay? So there are some bowed instruments. Maybe you're a violin player and you want to hear the top part played by a violin. Just avoid anything that says tab, okay? Because that will change our staff into guitar tab. And as much as guitar tab and bass tab is useful for certain things, it's not the musical notation that we're looking for, okay? So you've got all kinds of things here, but I am going to do classical guitar for the top part. Now it takes it way up, okay? These notes just all of a sudden went up there, but that's okay. We're going to bring those down. The second part, low palma, I'm going to change that one too. Now, because I'm an upright bass player, double bass, I'm going to choose a double bass for the bottom part. And that'll probably throw the notes up high as well. Okay, it sure did. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to select, see, since all of them are selected, I'm going to click and hold the first one and bring these down. Okay? Now, there. So I accidentally did a little note there. So I'm going to press this undo button, okay? Most of you are familiar with that. Oh, and remember we exposed these extra options here. I'm going to hit this arrow to hide those again so that my durations are back to what we got used to. Now let's see if I can do that for the top part. I'm going to select the first note of the top line, and then I'm going to press the shift button on my keyboard, and I'm going to click the last one. Do you see how it just highlighted everything again? I'm going to bring those down to where we started, okay, where we had our snare drum sound. All right, so there it is. That's now. Let's just listen to this. This will really sound quite funny. Well, not bad. Rest. So that is the sound of our composition with a classical guitar on the top, a double bass on the bottom, and everything is just playing a C. Now that is part of this second assignment. You are asked to now make musical notes. Your first note has to start on a C. So if you're in treble clef, that's here. If you're a bass clef person, it's down here. And your last note has to be a C. But everything in between needs to change. Now that doesn't mean that you shouldn't play a C again. No, you should play a C. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to make all kinds of melodies. Now I'm going to select this one. Okay, I'm going to work on the top part. Well, maybe I'll work on both at the same time. And this is up to you. Maybe you want to kind of manipulate the notes on the top part and then the bottom part. But I'm going to start just having some fun. Okay, I'm going to make steps. I'm going to go and make some jumps. Okay, I'm actually going to do the top part first, I've decided. Okay, you can get interesting. You don't want to go way up here. That sounds a little bit weird. That sounded like a harp. Right? Okay. Maybe I want that C to be there. Okay? So let me hear this. You can, and this is what's really great about this, is you can go back and listen to it. That's kind of cool. Now I'm going to change this one. Now that I'm kind of in the spirit of this melody, I'm going to move. Oops, remember, if you can't move something, it's because you're in play mode. So you got to press stop. And then it brings that palette back, right? I'm going to do some of this. I don't know. Now that's a pretty low note on a bass, but I know from playing that instrument that it can go down that low. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see that. Let's see what that sounds like. Whoops. It didn't start at the beginning, so I'm going to go to the beginning here. Do you see that button up there? Now maybe I don't like this note. Maybe I want to, oh, pressing stop again. Maybe I want that note there. You know, you can experiment. If there's something that you don't like, change it. If it sounds a little bit weird, well, maybe weird is okay. Make it sound weird for a bit before it sounds better. But this is all about experimenting and trying to find a way of creating some melodies, okay? I'm going to do that. All right. Just having some fun. All right, let's try that. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Whoops, back to the beginning. There it is. Neat. That's kind of sounding fun. I'm going to complete this now on my own, and then I'll come back and show you the final little bit. And then what we can do is we'll talk about how to share this. Okay, so just have fun. And it doesn't have to sound professional. It doesn't have to sound like, it can maybe be, you know, like a scary part of a movie. Let me see if I can just make some weird random stuff like this. You know, just make sure that you play it back. You don't want it all to be random. You actually do want to try and find some kind of interesting melodies. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to click over here just to see if that takes us back. It does. Well, that was pretty random there that I put in, and that sounded pretty interesting. Okay, if there's something that you don't like, you change it. So I'm gonna change that last one here. That sounded a little bit weird to me. Maybe not. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna save that, and then I'm going to bring up the other one that I finished. I might as well keep this thing rolling. You'll see my finished score here that says complete. Okay, so let's see what I did in this one. This will be completely different because I did this at a different time. So I'm going to play this from the start to the finish and see what you think. Okay, not too bad. So everything is in the key of C. What does that mean? Well, I start on a C in both parts, and I end on a C. And everything else in between is on a line or a space. There's no fancy sharps or flats or anything. It's just anything between this C and a C down here all over the staff on both parts. Make it interesting. You see how I did some jumping things here, okay? So I'm going to highlight this bar and see if I can just play this bar. How do I not have that? Let's see. Okay, there. So I'm going to just hit play. Whoops. Nope. There. See what I did there? I had the notes start at the same time. I went down on one step here, and then I went up a step, or stayed the same, down, up, okay? And that's still based on the same rhythms of my other part. That was just 8 eighth notes on the C line before, remember? So I just changed everything to make the pitch sound different. Okay, so I'm going to stop. I'm going to, well, it's already been saved. Okay, so we've already made a copy of this. Now what we're going to do, this is a mini tutorial on how to share this. Okay, it's very important now that you're able to share this with Mr. Parker, and if there's time and if this works, we can get some of your peers and maybe your partner to also look at this part, because you guys have been working together already, so it'd be nice if we could continue to do that. So what I've done here is there's this score details. Do you see this button here? So it's right beside our account profile button. There's this score details. Now down in here, I chose classical for this one. Remember on the last one, it was more like rock. But this one to me sounds more like classical. Difficulty level, I put beginner. Format, well, I chose duet because this is definitely a duet, okay? And then cover art. You could, if you wanted to, you could upload a photo of what you think this CD cover, I guess, would be. Now, down in share, okay? Everyone with a link can comment on this score. Well, that's good. I'm going to hit edit. And if it wasn't already like this, so what you'll see is this window, okay? In order for you to share this with Mr. Parker, you have to check off this button here that says everyone. Now that doesn't mean everyone on the internet is going to read or hear your piece of music. Especially do not click this one, because this says show this score in search results and public score listings. No, you don't need that. You don't need that clicked. But what you should do is go here to view and go to comment, okay? Actually, let's take this one step further. Let's go to edit. If you click edit, that means that Mr. Parker will be able to edit this and he'll be able to make comments. And if you do have your partner working on this with you, you can both edit the same piece. Okay, so there's edit. Now let's go to next. Okay, please make a copyright selection for this work. Well, my score is definitely an original work. That means I made this piece, and just like you made your pieces, they are going to be completely original. We are not making an arrangement of an existing work, which means we did not just copy out a Taylor Swift song or a Justin Bieber song. This is our original work, okay? So you can keep that checked like that. Save. All right, so that has been saved. Now what we have to do is, you see this button down here? This is the share button, and I'm sure you've seen this before on other websites and YouTube. It's a similar icon. It means that it starts in one point and it gets shared out to many points. So we're going to click that, and we're going to say this. We're going to copy link to score, okay? So this score has now been copied to a link. Now, where do we put that link? Well, you should probably go over here to whatever you use for an email. So it might be in... So whatever you use for an email. For me, I use an app on Mac called Mail. You might be on Google and you start a new email to Mr. Parker, and then all you do is you go up to edit wherever you are and you click paste, okay? And it shows up. Maybe this is also in D2L, and this is something we can also chat about again, or you can get some clarification from Mr. Parker. But all he needs now is that link from you, okay? So I'm going to copy that link, and I'm going to see what it looks like in a different browser. So I'm going to go to Chrome, Google Chrome, and I'm going to see what it looks like from another account. So this is what somebody else will see. So Mr. Parker will see this. I'm going to press return, and it goes right to your score. Okay, there it is. There is my score. I'm in a different place. I can press play. That sounds good. Now if I go to score details, I can even make a comment on this. Wow, sounds great. Comment, okay? I can like it. I can do all kinds of things here. So this is how you go from one score and how you get this to Mr. Parker, okay? We might need to clarify this a little bit more, but for now, what we want you to do is to make sure that you have taken your rhythm assignment, made a copy of it, okay? You've made your copy. Remember the copy button was, here's this little arrow here, and then there's this copy, save a copy, okay? You saved your copy. You double check by going to My Scores, and you'll see here's the original one. That's just the high-low palma rhythm conversation. And then you'll make another one that says pitches or melody. Maybe you put melody there, okay? And then once that is there, you'll be able to share that as well, okay? You'll probably need to share the first one as well with Mr. Parker, okay? So that first conversation, the palma, high-low palma. You can also share that, going up to score details, going down. Okay, this one I called rock, beginner, and duet. Still a duet, right? It's only 2 parts. Cover art, I didn't put anything there, but you could. Going to the share button. Whoops. Here it is here. All right, making sure this is on edit for Mr. Parker. Okay, going to next. Yes, definitely an original work. Save. Going down here to this icon. There it is. Copy link to score. It's been copied. Now I go to Gmail and I send an email, or maybe it's through D2L. Maybe you guys do your posting all through discussions on D2L. Whatever it is, you now have the link copied and you have to get that to Mr. Parker. Okay, so hopefully that has been an interesting assignment for you. I know I am looking forward to hearing some of your creations, and this is such a great tool. I hope you like NoteFlight. And there's all kinds of extra layers and extra things, and who knows if we're all doing this again, maybe we'll get a chance to explore new levels and new ways of creating music together. Okay? So everybody have fun with this one, and we'll talk soon. Bye.